Hello, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited. We're going to be talking about 6 very specific tips to help you get a jump start on your goals for 2019 or really for any future time that you want to be setting goals. So that could mean maybe you are on maternity leave right now, but you know you want to be setting goals at some point in the future. Or maybe you're in a really intense season of your business and you know once you get through that, you want to set some new goals for content or a new product or revenue stream or something like that. So these are going to be some tips that you can do, some things that you can do to get started, to get a jump start so that the goal setting goes more smoothly, so that you have some fun ramping up to that time if maybe it's not quite the time yet to be setting those. If you're someone like me, I get very excited about the idea of setting goals. So it's fun for me to have some things that I can do building up to that time where it is the right time to set them. And hopefully it will help you set better goals once you get to that point because you'll have put a little bit of thought into it. I'm definitely a believer for most things in life, not in necessarily overcomplicating or over planning things, but in taking the opposite of the microwave approach, whatever that would be, the crock pot approach maybe. So we are going to talk about that today. And if you are not familiar with me, my name is Diana Kerr. I'm a certified professional life coach for goal-oriented Christian women. And I love working with women who love Jesus, but who have a life that feels like a lot and who want to simplify things and really figure out what are my priorities and how can I best live in line with them. So if you're jumping on now live, thank you so much for being here. It's so fun. And if you're watching the recording, thank you so much for doing that too. I'm going to share something with you today, an email series that we have coming out. It's just a totally free thing. We're not selling anything today or anything like that. But make sure you stick around to hear a little bit more about that, or if you have to jump off, make sure that you are on my email list, because if you're on my email list over the next couple weeks, you will see an opportunity in those emails to get our new email mini-series that we're sending out. I'll talk more about that, but if you have to jump off, just make sure you're on my email list, and if you're not, what are you doing? Go to dianakerr.com/workbook. And we will send you a free workbook about time, and then you'll be on the email list. And like I said, we're going to be sending that out just to our email family this week with an opportunity to get some fun emails about goal setting, some little mini emails. So let's jump right in. So the first thing that you can do to get a jump start on your 2019 goals is to start in prayer about them. And as you hear that out loud, maybe that sounds very obvious, but I think we need to be reminded of that over and over, that as Christian women, everything begins with prayer, or it should. And I need to remind myself of this because it's not something that I always do naturally or perfectly. It's not always my first instinct as a goal-oriented person and as an Enneagram 1 who's a fixer. I just want to jump right into something and start fixing it and changing it right away. But before we do that, before we set goals or we fix something in our life, let's take it to the Lord and pray about it. And if you are in a place where, like I said, at the beginning of this video, you're kind of gearing up to set some goals because maybe it's not quite the time yet, or maybe you just kind of want to, crock pot the process instead of microwave the process. Prayer is an especially good thing to do because that's a great thing to do in the waiting or when you're not ready to start something. It's also a good thing to do when you are ready to start. So I'll talk a little bit more at the end of this. Actually, tip number 6 kind of has to do with some things that you can pray about and pray for. But again, think about prayer and think about what it will take for you to remember to pray about that stuff. So for me, I love my Val Marie prayer journal, Val Marie paper prayer journals. She's got a 1-year version, dated version. She's got a 6-month undated version. And both of those are amazing to just have like sitting out in your house, in your kitchen by your dishes or by your quiet time materials so that you are reminding yourself those things that you're like, I want to pray about that. You're reminding yourself to actually pray about it. Okay, so the second thing you can do to get a jump start on your goals for 2019 or anytime in the future is to make sure that you actually have a method for how you're going to do that goal setting. So if you finally get to the point where you're ready to jump in on your 2019 goals or whatever time period you're setting goals for, and you don't have a good process for the goal setting, it might not go that well, or you might get hung up. And so if you follow me, you know that I love, love, love the Power Sheets Intentional Goal Planner. That's what I use for my goal setting. I keep my Power Sheets on my desk at all times. Here they are now. And so I use the 1-year dated version of the Power Sheets, but they also have a 6-month undated version. And you can go to cultivatewhatmatters.com and get power sheets and look them up. That is definitely my preferred method and the method that I recommend. If you don't want to invest in power sheets, Laura, who's the creator of the power sheets, she does a goal setting series on her blog that you'll be able to find. Go to lauracasey.com, where she poses some similar reflection questions that they share in the power sheets right there on her blog. So that was actually something that I did for a couple years, many years ago, before I actually invested in power sheets. I would go through the questions, the goal setting series on her blog, which I think will be coming up in the next, let's see, couple weeks. I think when does she normally do that? I think it's like the last week of December. But anyway, get on her email list and check her blog. So I would just go through and answer those questions and set my goals based on that. And then eventually I did invest in power sheets. If you are a guy and you don't want to do power sheets, you totally can. But if you think they're too girly or for some reason power sheets aren't a good fit for you, I know that Michael Hyatt has a course / a book called Your Best Year Ever. I've heard great things about that, and I respect Michael Hyatt a ton. My husband has used Darren Hardy's, I want to get the words right because it's very similar to Michael Hyatt, Darren Hardy's Living Your Best Year Ever journal. So he has used that for goal setting, and I also believe in Darren Hardy and his approach to goal setting for sure. The way that he goes about it, he's very smart and intentional with that stuff. So those are some other methods, some tools that you can use to set your goals, because I highly recommend that you do not just take a piece of paper on January 1st or a notebook and just write down, here are my goals. Please put more effort into the process if this is important to you. So tip number two is to choose your method. And if that's something that you're gonna have to purchase, you're gonna have to buy it in advance, right? So if you want to set good goals, it's probably not gonna happen by just haphazardly sitting down on January 1st and scratching out some stuff in a journal. Number 3, great way to get a jump start on your 2019 goals is to start a list to brainstorm what things you want to be different in the next year, what results you want from the next year, any ideas that you have for your goals. This is especially great if you're a person like me who gets really excited about stuff, about goal setting. So I literally, typically around June each year, I create a note in Evernote, and I start throwing in there any ideas that I have related to goal setting for the next year, because I'm already getting ideas of like, this would be a great thing to focus on related to my spiritual life next year, or it'd be really cool if I kind of took this approach to my goals for next year. So I will jot those things in there so that I'm kind of getting those things out of my head. First of all, David Allen, the creator of the Getting Things Done system, is a huge proponent. I totally agree with him of not using your brain as a storage place. Your brain is a place to solve problems, to think through things, to process through things. So get that stuff out of your head so that it's organized in one place and it's not cluttering up your brain. And that's just a fun way to start those creative juices flowing as you're moving forward towards a point where you're finally going to actually set those goals. So you can do that, like I said, in Evernote. You could do it in a journal or a notebook that you have lying around if you want. Once you actually have power sheets, there's a section at the very beginning of power sheets to write down ideas for the whole year, and there's some space for each month to write down ideas too. So even as I'm going through the year, if there's something I think of in, say, August that I think would be great to do in October, and it's an idea that I have for a goal, I will flip to that page in October, like the Brainstream page, and I will write that down so I have it there. Okay, number 4, fourth thing you can do to get a jump start on your goals is to set aside time to work on them. And ideally do this in advance of when you'd like to get started on them. So it's totally okay to set your 2019 goals when you're already in 2019, or to set your February goals when it's already February, or whatever it is. That's totally allowed, and probably in most cases better to set some goals than to set none. But I think that it is so exciting and it feels so good to have those goals set by the time you get to that point. This is going to sound so nerdy. I'm going to confess this to you, but January 1st is literally one of my favorite days of the year. And I love waking up on January 1st and getting a good workout in, getting in some time with the Lord, drinking some water, eating something healthy, whatever, and knowing that I already have goals figured out for the year. I already have things that I want to work on, and I'm pumped to work on that stuff because it's January 1st. It's like my first official day to start working on those good goals that I've set. So plan out some time. If you want to have goals for 2019, try to set your goals in December if you can. Laura actually recently put up, I think it was last week, put up a blog post about why not to set your goals, why not to wait till January 1st to set your goals. And I totally agree with her. So to give you a little bit of info about how I do this, I like to plan some time with friends to set goals, and I also like to plan some time on my own. So I started my power sheets with some friends on December 1st at a coffee shop and just dug in a little bit. And now I've got some time scheduled throughout the rest of the month to finish them. So I like to work on it in chunks of time. You can totally work on your goals all at once if you want. You can make it a 1-day thing or a 2-day thing or a 4-hour chunk of time thing and just do it all at once. But I like to do it a little bit more little by little. I like to really enjoy the process and kind of spread it out. And I love to have a little bit of downtime in between my goal setting sessions so that I can kind of process through the things that I wrote out in my power sheets and process through ideas for goals and really make sure that I come up with an end result that I'm really excited about, and that's really quality, not just like what was top of mind that day and the biggest pain point, and like that's what ended up in my goals for the whole year. So be creative with this. I wrote down some ideas to share with you. Use a vacation day if you need to do this. Use your lunch breaks, use some evening time, block out a weekend chunk of time right now that's not full yet if you have any good chunks of time between now and Christmas. Or even ask for help for someone to watch your kid. My mom actually watches my son for sure one day a month that I'm not actually working on that day so that I can work on my power sheets goals for that upcoming month. So hello to everyone on Instagram. If you are just joining, I just want to say I'm also on Facebook Live, which is why I'm looking up at my video, at my camera for Facebook Live. So I'm sorry that it looks a little bit goofy, but I'm so glad that you're here, and thank you to everyone who's on Facebook too, Francie and Christine, and it's so great to have all of you. Okay, so going back to the list, so be creative about this and get excited about that day or those days that you set aside for goal setting. Think about what it will take for you to be successful. What will help you be successful? Does that mean doing it in the comfort of your own home, or so you can really spread out and you've got your snacks and your stuff in a bathroom or whatever? Does it mean going to a coffee shop or a different location? Kind of think through that stuff, and if you are someone who loves goal setting, this is going to help you get even more excited about it and really give you something to look forward to, which is really fun. Or if you're someone who maybe doesn't love it as much, you can be intentional about how to make that better and how to make it something that can be fun for you. It doesn't have to be like this drag, difficult thing. Okay, number 5, start to think about what you will do differently based on what didn't work in the past. So if you've got a little bit of time as you're gearing up to set some goals, and especially as we are talking about 2019 today, think about 2018 and think about what went well, but think about what didn't go so well. What are some things that you learned about yourself? And no shame, no judgment. You're not looking at this stuff so you can beat up on yourself. You're looking at this stuff so that you can move forward in a different way. Because if we don't take the time to reflect on what is or isn't working, and then alter our behavior based on that, we're not really going to grow that much in life. So you could do something over and over and over. You could do, your goal setting over and over each year. But if you don't check in on what didn't work and how you might need to course correct, the process probably won't get that much better. But in life and in goal setting, if you do check in some on what fell apart here, what didn't go so great, and then just make some simple tweaks, you're going to grow and you're going to get so much better results with that approach. So this is where I wanted to actually kind of plug. Make sure that you are on my email list, because we have an email series that I put together. It's called 10 Common Pitfalls to Goal Setting and What to Do Instead. So as a certified professional life coach, as someone who works one-on-one with women related to their goal setting and even helping women through their power sheets sometimes, I see with my clients and with them who follow me, and even with myself, what those common mistakes are that we make for goal setting. And actually, some of these are not that common. I should call them 10 common and also not so common pitfalls, or maybe surprising things that you don't necessarily think of, but that are preventing you from setting the kind of goals that you want to and being successful in carrying out those goals. So if you are interested in hearing what those 10 things are, if you are on my email list, we're going to send out an opportunity for you to just literally click a button in the email that we send out, and we will send you a 10-day email sequence with one of those per day. So it's going to be very small and short and digestible. It's not going to be some long email, but just one per day to get your brain in the right place as you're gearing up for goal setting, to kind of think about, oh yeah, make sure that I don't set too many goals, or set goals that are so vague I can't take action on them, or set goals based on what's important to other people instead of myself, or set goals where I don't start with the end result. That's a really key thing that I like to encourage people. Where do you want to be? What are the results that you want? Okay, now reverse engineer how you can go about getting those things, because there are more ways to get healthy and lose weight than just to run a 5K, especially if that sounds like torture to you. So if the end result is to get healthy or feel better in your body or whatever, maybe you could go about that by bar classes or something else, or kickboxing instead of running, if you hate the idea of that. Some of the other things we'll talk about: not including your faith in your goals, what to do about that, not having accountability, setting goals without really thinking about what it's going to take to get you there, and are you willing to do that, or setting goals without having some kind of an action plan, or setting goals and then setting them aside and not even looking at them. So we're going to talk through those things one thing at a time over the course of 10 days. I'm going to give you some very, very simple, doable, practical ways to make sure that you don't fall into that common pitfall. And so if that interests you, make sure you're on my email list. If you're not on my email list, go to dianakerr.com/workbook, and we will send you a free gift for joining my email family, first of all. And then that will make sure that when the email comes out it'll be December 13th and December 20th, with the link to that 10-day series, that you're on the list and you have a chance to sign up for that. If you happen to be watching this video after December 20th, email support@dianakerr.com and we can get you on the list. We can get you that email series, even though it'll already be done. So, all right, so number 5, like I said, is to think about what you're going to do differently. And that email series we'll send out will help you kind of think through maybe some of the things that have tripped you up. But this is something to just kind of process through. You can write about it if you want. You can pray about it if you want. But you can also just kind of think about it. As you know that this goal setting time is coming up, as you're driving in the car, as you're getting ready in the morning. I really, really like to not just fill my brain with podcasts and YouTube videos constantly, even though I love to learn, because I like to give myself that space to just think through things and just process through things. And it's amazing what insights God gives you when you give yourself a little bit of space like that. So start thinking, what am I going to do differently? What hasn't worked in the past, or what has worked really well in the past, so that you can go about setting goals this year a little bit stronger than last time. And then the final thing is to celebrate what God has done this past year or this quarter, or etc. Especially if you're the type to get discouraged about goal setting. This is so helpful to remind you, okay, maybe my goals didn't go perfectly this last year. Raise your hand if your goals went perfectly. No one. Mine certainly didn't. So, and I'm a life coach. It's okay. But when I take the time to check in and see what God has done, I realize goal setting works, and it is worth it, and God is good, and I am further along than I would be had I not set goals. So I actually did this on December 1st when I got together with my friends. I got to the coffee shop a little bit early and spent some time with the Lord, and then I just started praying and writing out what God has done in my life thanks to goal setting and thanks to being intentional about what I want to work on and what action I'm going to take. And it made me feel really excited, because I felt like I didn't get quite as far in 2018 as I wanted to, but I realized God still brought me so far. And over the course of the last few years, He's really brought me far. And that made me feel excited about setting goals, even though I know that my 2019 goals, if I'm being realistic, are also not going to be perfect. I can tell myself that they will be, and this will be the year that I'm going to finish every single goal to perfection and finish it early. that's probably not going to happen. But it reminded me that even to set goals imperfectly is worth it. So those are my 6 tips for you. I'll run through them again one more time really quickly. Number 1, start praying about your goals. It's never too early to do that. Number 2, choose which method you're going to use for your goal setting. Number 3, start brainstorming results that you want, things you're going to do differently, ideas that you have for your goals. Get them out of your head, get them all in one place. Number 4, set aside some good chunks of time that you are excited about in a format that you know you can be successful with to set those goals. Number 5, think about what you're going to do differently and just kind of ponder on that thought, and make sure you're on my email list, right? dianakerr.com/workbook to get in my email family so that we can send you that 10-day email series. And then number 6, celebrate what God has done this past year, this quarter, etc. And remind yourself of why goal setting is worth it, and all the good things that God has done in your life. All right, that's all for today. If you love this video, let us know. Let us know what kind of content you would like to hear. We want to create stuff that's really, really valuable for you. I know that there is so much out there that you can be listening to, so I am honored that you listened to some or all of this video. But let us know what's valuable for you, because when we do take the time, I'm busy like you and I don't have a ton of time. So if I'm going to create content, I want it to be stuff that is going to be really life-changing for you and help you live a life that is bold and intentional and that wildly glorifies God. And so if you have any thoughts about that, what's helpful for you, what's not helpful for you, what format you like to consume content in, etc., please comment or email me at diana@dianakerr.com and let us know, because we are here for you and we love you. All right, I'll talk to you soon, and I'm so excited for all of you and your 2019 goals.